You bought the car to feel successful. You upgraded your apartment to feel like you'd made it. You wore the watch, posted the trips, ordered the bottles, and told yourself it was all part of the plan. But here's the thing nobody tells you. That plan is quietly destroying your finances. Not dramatically, not all at once, just slowly, month after month, draining your accounts while you keep up the appearance of wealth you don't actually have yet. And the wild part? Most people never stop. They just earn more money and spend more money trying to look the part until one day they're in their 40s making six figures and somehow still living paycheck to paycheck. So what changes when you finally stop? Everything. And I mean that literally. Your bank account changes, your mindset changes, the way people relate to you changes. Even the opportunities that find you, they change. This video is about what actually happens when you stop performing wealth and start building it. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see your money and yourself completely differently. If you're new here, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We post finance content that actually cuts through the noise. Let's get into it. Number 1, your cash flow stops bleeding. The first thing that happens when you stop trying to look rich is almost embarrassing in how obvious it is. You stop hemorrhaging money. Think about what looking rich actually costs. There's the lease on the car that's slightly too expensive, the apartment in the neighborhood you can't really afford but love telling people you live in, the restaurants, the outfits, the gadgets, the subscriptions you barely use but wouldn't cancel because canceling feels like going backward. All of that, it's not just expensive, it's continuously expensive. Every single month, money exits your account not to build anything, but purely to maintain an image. When you stop, that bleeding stops. Suddenly, you have margin, maybe $300 a month, maybe $800, maybe more. And margin, financial breathing room, is one of the most underrated wealth-building tools in existence. Because margin is what allows you to invest consistently, handle emergencies without going into debt, and make decisions from a position of strength rather than desperation. You don't need a dramatic income jump to change your financial picture. You just need to stop performing and start redirecting. Number 2, your relationship with debt completely shifts. Here's something most people don't realize. A huge portion of consumer debt isn't about need, it's about image. The financed car, the credit card charges from restaurants and trips, the buy now, pay later on clothes you didn't need but felt good buying. When you're in look rich mode, debt feels like a tool to accelerate the image. You spend now, you'll figure out the payments later. But when you stop caring about the image, your entire relationship with debt changes. Suddenly, carrying a car payment for a vehicle you bought to impress people feels absurd. Paying interest on a dinner feels offensive. And the freedom you get from aggressively paying down debt or simply not taking it on in the first place starts to feel better than any status symbol ever did. This is the shift that quietly separates people who build wealth from people who just earn it and spend it. The wealthy people you actually want to emulate, most of them are obsessively allergic to consumer debt. They're driving used cars and living in normal houses, not because they can't afford better, because they've already won the game in their heads. They don't need the display. Number 3, you start investing the image tax instead. Let's put real numbers on this. Say stopping the performance frees up $500 a month. That's the car downgrade, the apartment adjustment, the dining cutback, whatever it is for you. $500. If you invest that $500 every month starting at age 28 with a conservative 8% average annual return, by the time you're 58, you have over $680,000. That's not hustle money. That's not a side business. That's just redirecting what you were previously paying as an image tax, money spent entirely on how you appeared, into an investment account. And here's the beautiful irony. By the time those 30 years are up, you actually are rich, not performing it, not financing it, actually, genuinely, quietly wealthy. The people around you might not know it. There's no luxury car in the driveway signaling it, but it's there, compounding, growing, working while you sleep. If this is hitting home, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We cover exactly this kind of wealth-building content every week. Number 4, your mental clarity increases dramatically. This one surprises people the most. When you stop trying to look rich, you stop carrying an invisible mental load you didn't even know you had. Because maintaining an image is exhausting. You're constantly calculating, can I afford this? What will people think if I don't? What does this say about me? When you exit that cycle, something remarkable happens. You get quieter inside. The financial anxiety that was humming in the background, always present, rarely acknowledged, starts to fade. You stop comparing yourself to people online. You stop making impulsive purchases to manage emotions. You start making financial decisions based on what actually serves you, not what performs well in front of others. This mental clarity has a compounding effect of its own. Clear-headed people make better financial decisions. Better decisions compound over time, and over time, the gap between where you are and where the image chasers are grows wider and wider. Number 5, the right people and opportunities find you. There's a social shift that happens when you stop performing wealth, and it's counterintuitive. You'd think people would respect you less, that without the markers, the car, the clothes, the spots you're seen at, you'd lose status. But what actually happens is you filter people. The ones who were only drawn to the image quietly drift away, and the ones who stay or who are newly attracted to your energy are drawn to something more real. You start attracting people who are actually building wealth instead of displaying it, and those people, they share information differently. They talk about actual investments, actual strategies, actual mistakes. The conversations get richer, the network gets more valuable. Real wealth is often built in rooms that don't look impressive from the outside. Quiet offices, modest homes, phone calls between people who don't need to flex because their results already speak. When you stop performing, you get access to a different level of conversation, and that alone can change your trajectory.
Number 6, your identity stops being tied to your spending. This is the deepest shift, and arguably the most important one. Most people, without realizing it, have outsourced their identity to their spending. Who you are is what you drive, what you wear, where you eat, what your apartment looks like. And as long as that's true, you will always be financially vulnerable, because you'll always spend whatever it takes to protect that identity. When you consciously decouple your self-worth from your spending, you become financially unshakable. You no longer need the purchase to feel okay. You no longer feel threatened when someone else has more. You're no longer chasing a feeling that the next thing was always going to promise and never fully deliver. You start building a sense of self that's rooted in what you're creating, your savings rate, your investment account, your skills, your relationships, your freedom. Those things don't require monthly payments, they don't depreciate, and they don't need an audience to be real. This is where financial transformation stops being about numbers and starts being about identity. And once this shift happens, it tends to stick, because you're not white-knuckling a budget anymore. You're just being someone different. So here's where you are right now. You've just seen 6 real, concrete things that change when you stop trying to look rich. Your cash flow, your debt, your investments, your mental clarity, your network, and your identity. None of this requires you to earn more. None of it requires sacrifice in the way you think. It just requires you to stop paying the image tax and start redirecting that money towards something that actually builds the life you keep saying you want. The question isn't whether this works. It works. The question is whether you're ready to stop performing and start building. If you are, start small. Pick one thing this week, one subscription, one downgrade, one place where you've been spending to impress instead of spending to build. Cancel it, redirect it, and watch what that single decision feels like. Then come back here, because we do this every week. Real, practical finance content that actually changes how you think about money. If this video gave you something to think about, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it, and it might just change how they see their money too. I'll see you in the next one.